right, so I'm here with Tom Ferry, number one mortgage, number one real estate coach.
Yeah, I'll take it, man. Thanks, AP. Yeah, so hey, everybody.
Yeah, I'm getting confused because I'm the mortgage guy and you're the real estate guy.
You're the mortgage guy.
Yeah.
I'm the real estate guy.
Yeah, awesome. So Tom, first off, how'd you get started into real estate coaching, and was it through your dad, or did you just want to coach people in real estate, or how did it start?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this, I'm going to my 31st year, so I've been doing it for a long time. I'm going to actually move this up a tad. So imagine we're in San Francisco, I want to say it was like 1991, we're doing an event at the Fairmont up in Nob Hill, and my dad very casually said from the stage, you know, if I called you every single week and said, Albert, do your job, and then you had to report back some numbers, there's a really good chance you'd make more money. And I'm literally standing in the back of the room because I was going to go up on stage that afternoon and do something on telephone prospecting. And about 50 people walked up and said, here's my card, sign me up. Now, I'm an entrepreneur. If 50 people hand me their card and say, sign me up for a program we don't have, I immediately went to my dad and said, you know, we might want to look at this.
Yeah.
And it was about 1992 that we actually came out with the very first real estate coaching program. And we're, I'm going old school. There wasn't even, we had conference lines, phone calls, no headsets. There was no internet access. People were faxing us in their numbers, 2-hole punch, review Albert's business, see what's going on, talk over the phone. So that's really how it all got started. I was early 1993 maybe, coaching my first few clients. By the time I got to 1997, 1998, I want to say the first year that Lore magazine came out with the top 100 agents in the country. Now they do the top 1,000 with Wall Street Journal and Real Trends. 16 of those people were my personal clients.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for a long, long time.
So when you got started, were you guys living a good life? Was your dad like killing it in real estate coaching, and then you got into it? How was that when you just got into it?
When I joined this business, it was 1989, and like my backstory, I was like kicked out of a couple high schools. I had a mohawk, was kicked out of both parents' houses. I was really focused just on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
That's the way I describe it. I was always a very focused kid. That's what I tell my boys, by the way. I joined the business, and probably like anybody else, like my dad said, hey, there's no silver spoon here. You're going to learn everything in the business from the bottom up. And so I was doing shipping and receiving, I was doing accounting, I was answering the phones. Then eventually I got into sales. And when I got into sales, I basically found home. Like this is what I want to do. I want to talk to people. I want to figure out like, who is Albert? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? You got a baby on the way. What are you doing financially? Yeah. How are you going to make sure that you're positioned right? Like that stuff just resonated for me. So I did all that stuff early, and his business was really back then a very traditional seminar type of company where you couldn't really rely on who was going to hire you next, where you were going to speak the next day.
Yeah.
Like I grew up 1979. We went to a KISS concert, my first concert ever. Myself, my brother, my dad, and my stepmom Pua. And I think he landed at LAX from New York. That week he was in New York, Miami, he was in Seattle, he was in Omaha, Nebraska, and maybe started out in like Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah.
So by the time he met us at LAX to then go to a concert, he was completely exhausted. That was my dad's life for probably the first 15 years of his business. So when I joined, it was about trying to figure out the 80-20 principle. Right? Where are the best opportunities for us to grow? How do we create a more repeatable and scalable process? I couldn't scale having him on the road. Sure, we could try and charge more money. Maybe he might sell some more books and tapes in the back of the room, but it wasn't a scalable business. So my mind works that way, that sort of strategic thinking, geometric growth. How do we do this? And that's where the whole thing started to morph. And I certainly wasn't the origin of coaching. It was really that moment, and then a bunch of us masterminding and saying, what would this look like? But really, that was the beginning. Like, that's when it really took off. That's when his real wealth began, his real success began. And gosh, I think in 1996, give my dad a lot of love here. In 1996, I want to say he was named one of the top 5 most influential people in all of real estate.
Yeah.
And on that list was like Alan Greenspan, President Clinton, the U.S. Senate, and like I think it was Henry Silverman, who had just bought Century 21 back in the day when it was HFS, and my dad. Like that's pretty baller.
Wow. So it seems like he had a solid coaching program but it wasn't scalable, and you figured out how to scale it, how to like reach more people and grow the audience.
So I want to make the distinction. He had a solid training business.
Yeah.
He did not have a coaching business really until kind of 92, 93.
Got it.
And it was really in that.
That's after you got involved.
I was already involved, already helping him, run parts of the business.
Yeah.
And that's really when coaching took off. So I mean, anyone that tells me in the real estate space, oh, I've been coaching forever, I'm like, what year did you start? And they're like, 2004. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, we had a 10-year head start on you. And that doesn't mean that we're better, it's not that. It's just, it's 10,000 hours to mastery, right? Like, do you buy into that concept? Mm-hmm. Do anything for 10,000 hours and you become a master of that. Well, I'm 33,000 hours of coaching at this point.
Yeah.
So a client walks in my office and says, hey, the world's about to fall apart. My team's going sideways. My P&L is off. My marketing is off. That's fun for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not for the client, but it's fun for me because success leaves clues.
Yeah.
There's ways that you can very quickly assist that customer, that business person in making the right moves as fast as possible because I've already seen around the corner, tens of thousands of times.
Yeah. Well, you seem like more entrepreneur type.
100%.
And then I know you build a huge team. Your office, by the way, your operation is incredible.
Yeah. Do you have the 7th floor also, or just here?
Just here so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know you have a lot of coaches under you, right?
Yes.
And then you have also online training.
Yeah.
And so that explains the scaling.
Yep.
Now, because I'm sure you have a lot of top producers, $1 million earners, and they're like, well, I want to be coached directly by Tom, not by the coaches under you. Yeah. Is that just a money thing, or they have to qualify, or how do people get you?
First of all, it's not a factor for us.
Yeah.
I have 176 business coaches around the world: Australia, New Zealand, all over Canada, Mexico, every nook and cranny of the U.S. And I would argue that the 7,000 people that we're coaching, I have 11 clients, right? So clearly
11 clients.
All the other coaches are handling most of our best clients.
Yeah.
I mean, all my clients are rock stars, right? I love them all, my own personal clients, and yet all those other people are being handled by someone else. So even the way you said you have these coaches under you, I don't have any coaches under me. I have coaches with me, side by side, because every one of them, in my mind, does a better job than I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's look, man. At the end of the day, any business person knows. I follow a methodology. I say, if you're going to build a team, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can do the family business, right? That's always cool. My brother and I, and we get my mom, and we get our little nephew who's kind of a pot smoking knucklehead, and we go, okay, stop that, come on, man, let's get to work. That's a family business. Those are really effective in real estate and mortgage and everything else, in any business.
Yeah.
Then you can go to the next level, and you can create a SEAL team.
Yeah.
And that's where you get 6, 8 people that are really good. Everybody's cross-trained. I know you interviewed David Goggins. I've known David for a while, right?
Yeah.
We talk about
he spoke at one of your events, right? I think.
A couple times, yeah. So having that tight-knit group of people that are all cross-trained, that are really effective, then you can do the mega team. And right now in the real estate business, I'm talking with about 150 of our clients that we're literally saying, how do we take your real estate sales business inside of a franchise or a brokerage or your own company and go from 8, 10, 15 people to 100 people? Because the industrialization of the real estate transaction is happening as we speak, and the same thing with teams. They're taking over the world. Now, the mistake that most people make is they run a team, what I call the hero and the minions, right? You ever seen the Minions movies? How old's your youngest kid?
2.5.
2.5, right? So Disney movies, I think they are the little minions, little yellow guys, right? Giggling, kind of fun. Don't really speak English, but whatever, right?
Yeah.
They're doing their little thing. Most team leaders make the mistake of you work for me, I'm the guy, right? You're my little minion, whatever. Just do what I say.
Yeah.
I don't operate that way.
Yeah.
And it's a big mistake. You see a lot of people do it. Those are the same people that have a lot of turnover. Right? They don't get the best work out of them. They don't get the best results out of their team.
Yeah.
Right? Because they treat them like that. Right? Instead of saying, these are my partners. Let's go.
Their people end up leaving and doing their own thing because they get frustrated.
Of course.
Now, I noticed that you're international.
Yes.
So you're able to train, you could train anybody, a realtor from Colombia or from Mexico.
Yes. We have clients all over Mexico.
How is your training universal? Isn't there a different loss?
Well, no doubt. Well, take Europe as an example, right?
Yeah.
So Great Britain, the average commission is going to be, say, 1.5%, right? Okay. So that's going to require a different set of negotiation tactics and a different marketing strategy in terms of cost versus, say, most of, let's call it Western Europe, right? Forget Eastern Europe for a second because it's a little bit different, and don't go too far south because Spain is different, Italy is certainly different, especially the farther you go, or Greece. Yeah. But for the most part, they're going to pay 2.5% to 3% commission. Would it shock you to hear that throughout all of Europe, A, there's no MLS, right? And there's no cooperation. So my wife and I say, hey, let's go to Vienna, let's go to District 1, we've been staying at the Ritz-Carlton, we got a job transfer, we're gonna move here to Vienna, this is great, let's go find an apartment.
Yeah.
I would then go onto 6 or 7 different portals. I would see the same house on the same portals at different prices with different agents' names, and I would also see it as a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
That's confusing for a consumer, yes?
Yeah.
I call you and I say, Albert, Tom Ferry, we're in town for 3 days. I'd like to see an apartment. Can you show me this one here? It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 1-car garage, blah, 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 on this street. And Albert says, oh, that's not my listing. Click.
Wow.
There's no cooperation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no like walking into your office and saying, hey, I got a buyer who's got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Beverly Hills Flats, blah, blah, blah. Nobody does that in Europe. So we're changing how real estate is done.
Yeah.
In Europe with one of our main partners there. That's very different from going to selling properties in Cabo San Lucas, or in Australia, or in New Zealand, or even in Canada, depending upon the West Coast or East Coast. So yeah, you gotta know the ins and outs of every country.
Yeah.
You gotta know the rules of every country, and the principles of being successful as a real estate marketeer pretty much apply everywhere.
Can you share those principles?
Let's start with 5 to Thrive would be the number one thing we work with our clients on. So let's be clear. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you have what we call the marketing Parthenon, which is one of my mentors, Jay Abraham, who you should get on your show. Jay is known, like every speaker, trainer on the planet. Yeah. Everybody points back to Jay Abraham as the guy that introduced us to the best marketing methodologies. Yeah. So he would say a really good business person is going to have multiple pillars of lead generation, multiple ways that you generate customers. And he actually was the guy that created what we think of as the by referral only system. Yeah. But that was one chapter in a book that he said, and oh, by the way, here's 89 strategies if you want to generate more referrals. And you could say, I work by referral. But the rest of the book were all the other principles for generating customers. Yeah. And 2 of my contemporaries took that one message and made it their entire gig. You with me? Yeah. So not knocking them because they're both fantastic guys. I would argue the first thing is you need to work your database. Right now, to work your database in a 2019, 2020 environment, you're going to make phone calls, you're going to send text. Which one's going to get you a better response? Phone calls or text?
I'd say phone calls.
Okay, text. You want to know why? Because you have to call like 15 to 20 people to get one person on the line. I send a text message, I get a response instantaneously. If I shoot a video, hey Albert, Tom Ferry, Banana Real Estate, been thinking about you, man. Want to see if you're free in the next couple of weeks for coffee, let me know. And I text it to you, I get an even better response.
Yeah. So that's how I got you to respond to me.
Thank you very much. See?
I took some of your stuff.
Exactly. So working your database, but there's a lot of things inside that, right? So it's creating content for them to be the educator, whether it's on the mortgage side or on the real estate side, keeping them informed and involved and empowered so they don't have to go to all the portals. Right? Yeah. This is the challenge people are having today with their database, that there's about a $16.5 billion ad spend happening right now on a thing called if you study the Burrell report, it'll break it all down for you. $6.5 billion of that is digital. The balance is all the traditional stuff plus some TV, radio, all that stuff. But a $16 billion ad spend trying to get your customer base to go to their website, fill out their form, think Amazon or Realogy, what they're doing right now. It's the same exact thing. The challenge is for most agents, they're not working their database. I don't care if they're in Munich, Germany, or Manhattan, right? Manhattan Beach right here in LA. That's number one. And there's a million ways to do it. Number 2 is geographic farming. So I have helped agents in Europe suddenly start a geographic farm where you take 500, 1,000, 2,000 homes, and you become the local expert. You become the person that says, here's what's going on, here's what's happening. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's traditional 101, and yet the agents that are farming today in a 2019 uber digital cell phone everything world are the most successful agents on the planet.
Yeah.
Because they've got their database that's producing referrals and, direct transactions. Then they've got that extension of their database, their geographic farm, where they're becoming a part of the community. They're like in the fabric, if you will, of that neighborhood. Number 3 is open houses. I literally just hung up with one of my clients, so get this, guys. Andy C.
Is he one of your top agents?
Yeah, he's definitely, I want to say he's number 34 or 35 on the Wall Street Journal team side for volume.
Okay, got it.
So he's at 171 transactions closed and pending year to date.
Okay.
Right? He's at $7.2 million in commissions paid year to date. So he's in Silicon Valley selling expensive homes. You're probably $2.5 million, $3 million average sales price. I just mentioned those first 3 things. That's where all of his business comes from. The database for him is the smallest amount of his business. 80% of his business comes from his geographic farm and from his open houses.
Yeah.
So those first 3. Then you say, number 4 on 5 to Thrive, should I be buying online leads? And I would argue the answer is 1,000% yes. Zillow, Realtor, Trulia as an example, Google pay-per-click, Bing. Look at what Hulu just announced. Hulu, right? So we all watch television on Hulu or Amazon Prime, etc. Hulu is now allowing agents, lenders, you should look at this, where you can literally go on and get people as they're watching a show, they have to then watch a little advertisement. What if that advertisement, just like television, was a TV spot where you're like, I'm Albert. It's time to refi. Prices just dropped to this. You could save $500 a month.
So kind of like YouTube when you get the ads.
Same exact thing on YouTube, even more effective, right? Because, I don't want to say even more effective. Equally as effective, right? I'm betting that Hulu is going to be better, and here's why, right? Because I run ads on YouTube. Bumper ads, in the middle of ads, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
The deal, though, is, right, in this case, what if I told you I can go onto Hulu and I can say, I'm a military guy. The only people I want to see my ad, I'm in San Diego, California. There's 5,000 VA loans right now, active. VA loans, right, active, currently in San Diego. And the only people I want to see this ad are people in 92507 that have a VA loan.
Yeah.
And they will only target those ads to those people. That's pretty badass.
It is.
So, Google, Bing, Hulu, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? On and on and on. Or Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, etc. Right? That's just a smart play. You've got to be in the game. You can't be a dominant agent today and say, I refuse to go because I don't like them or I don't like how they do business. I refuse to go there. When 175 million customers are going there every single month. I would argue that is stupid. I don't care if you like them or not. If eyeballs are there, I'm getting in the way.
So you're really big on social media, right?
Well, that's number 5. So huge.
Let's say the agent that's making $5 million. Let's say an agent that's making $3 million a year.
Sure.
Do you think they should spend $1 million on social media?
No.
Advertising?
No.
Would it work?
They shouldn't spend $1 million probably on anything. If you're at $3 million, no. If you're at, so just the way we talk about it is you look at your total ad spend. That's your business cards, flyers, promotion, videos you shoot, this kind of stuff. And your ad spend on any one of those platforms. As an example, I just talked with one of my clients. She spends $40,000 a month on Zillow. She'll do $4.2 million in GCI this year, closed, Hoboken, New Jersey, right? She's a beast, right? But we're very mindful. No more than 10% of your estimated gross revenue towards your marketing. And that's got to cover everything. You with me? Your digital, your print, online, offline, the whole 9 yards.
So you're really.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but no, I would not spend $1 million on a 3.
You're really systematic with the whole percentages.
Business is math. Business is math. I deal with people every single day that are phenomenal artists. You with me? They can get in front of a customer, they can negotiate a deal, they can let me tell you, Albert, how it's gonna work. You and your wife, let me paint the picture. And they're great at all that stuff. And then I say, show me your checkbook, and it's a disaster. I say, show me your P&L. They go, what's a P&L? That scares me. So I like to bring a lot of quant into their qual. You with me? They're very qualitative, they're really good at it. I bring some quantitative approaches into their business track and measure so we can make good decisions. And what it does is it allows their artistry to really get expressed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
yeah, I mean, I could tell you're a big tracker. Cause
I track and measure everything, man. Steps, heart rate, you name it. So, yeah.
Now, your real estate agents, all of these guys and girls that make a lot of money, do you also coach them on investing? Because I know you're also an investor, right?
Yes. So I have a company called Ferry Ventures. That company's invested in about 55 different startups. So I do a lot of early stage, pre-Series A. I do some post-Series A stuff. I do some bridge loan stuff. I do some safes, that kind of stuff. I was in Slack. I'm in Acorns, a bunch of really cool companies. Fair, which is going to be bananas. So I'm into that, and then we own a lot of real estate, my wife and I, so we pay attention to that as well.
Yeah.
I've been on this kick for the last 3-4 years specifically with a lot of my clients saying, hey, look, winter is coming. And whether that means, I don't know if we'll talk about recession today, but no matter what, we're in a 10-year bull run right now.
Yeah. Actually, right? Maybe you could continue that, because I was going to ask you about the recession. How do you feel about that?
So here's what I've been telling my clients for 3 years. I remember sitting in 2006 in January at one of my events saying to all my clients, let me tell you my most important initiative for this year. They're like, 800 people at the Marriott Desert Springs and Palm Desert. And I said, I'm calling on banks to get you REO accounts. January of 2006. They're like, what? What are you talking about, man? Like I'm going to go get a new Rolls Royce. Yeah. I'm totally on fire. I'm leasing it. I leased my new Rolex. I'm like, okay, the whole world's about to fall apart, right? Everybody knows what happened in 2007, 2008, right? That whole experience. So I knew then it was the right thing to do.
I ended up homeless in 2008.
Brother, you've come a long way. Don't do that again, right? So here's what I'm telling people for the last 3 years. Stockpile cash. Stockpile cash.
Especially right now.
3 years ago and today, right? So Warren Buffett just came out yesterday and said he has more cash today than he had in 2006.
Yeah.
And Warren Buffett knew exactly what was going to happen in 7, 8, 9. He called it. And he had so much cash going into that. Why? Because when you have a recession, the world goes on sale.
Yeah.
Where do we make all of our money?
Recessions.
Right? You make money. Every major company that we fantasize and dream, Apple, Disney, Microsoft, they all started in recessions, right? They started here and they grew out of it. Right? And they went through multiple, right? But in the case of what's going on right now, if you study KCM, Keeping Current Matters, if you study Ivy Zellman, the Zellman Report or the Z Report, everybody's saying the same thing, that 2020, we're going into a recession. A fun fact for all the agents right now, consider this. NerdWallet just put out something in July. Here's what they said. They surveyed thousands of people that were considering putting their home on the market to get it sold in the next 18 months. This is in July. So they're saying in the next 18 months, they're going to sell their house. 44% of those people decided to put their home on the market sooner because they're afraid of what's coming next in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of data that you need to pay attention to educate your customers, to make sure you control the narrative. But here's the primary thing I want you to get. In the last 5 recessions, right? Now, recession just means the GDP of the U.S. had 2 quarters back to back where we didn't see growth.
Right.
So if let's just say hypothetically we're at 3. It goes to 2.9 and it goes to 2.7. That means we're in a recession. Even though those numbers, under Obama, we were in the 2s, right? We weren't growing at all.
Yeah.
Not a knock on Obama, just the facts, right? So, if you have that little decrease, that means you're in a recession. Does that mean a housing crisis?
No.
No. In the last 5 recessions, only 2 of those recessions had any impact on home values.
Got it.
The one in 1991, right? Yeah. We had a 3.1% drop in overall market value in the U.S. And of course, post Lehman Brothers and the entire meltdown of 2007, 8, 9, which was a housing crisis, and the recession was caused by housing.
Yeah.
All the economists are saying the same thing. Ready? That the new recession that we're going into, housing is number 9 on the list, right? So they're saying basically it's not even a factor. Right? Yeah. What is a factor is China, tariffs, the stock market, these bigger looming issues, right? Yeah. That's what's going to cause the quote unquote recession. So important for all agents, you got to control the narrative first with yourself and then with your customers.
Now, do you feel that homes right now have declined a little bit in prices? And I know the lenders cut the cash out refis by a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but you also know that 50% of the U.S. right now has equity.
Yeah.
50% of the entire country has equity in their homes. It's bananas right now.
Yeah.
I think the lenders are hedging. They're also paying attention. You saw Forbes magazine, right? Yesterday comes out. The housing market is in a slide, 3.1% down. You know what they're referring to? The last quarter of new construction had dropped by 3.1%. Home prices went up 4.2% in the same quarter. Be mindful of the people that are trying to sell you something. Be mindful of people that are trying to get you to click on something. Yeah. I read the article and I'm like, shit, but if they would have said, sorry, I just cussed on your show, but if they would have said, home prices went up 4.2%, no one would have cared.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to get people worried and that kind of stuff.
Of course.
Now the next couple of years, 2020, they're saying the recession. Do you feel like prices will dip in 2020 a little bit, or do you feel that we're just gonna kind of like stop for a little bit and stay the same and then keep going up?
It depends on what price range you're talking about. In the sort of emerging first-time buyer market, absolutely not. It's going to continue to go up. In the mid-range price points, right? We think everyone's saying you're still going to get 3.5% to 4% appreciation. Where we're suffering right now is we've over-indexed on inventory in the high end. So the high end is different for you in Beverly Hills, for me along the coast in Newport Beach, for my clients in New York City and Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? So the high end, where it's just a supply and demand thing, people are putting their homes on the market. I'm looking at a property right now in Dallas, ready?
Yeah.
So the last sale for the same exact unit was 3 months ago for $3.9 million.
Okay.
The seller, the one that I'm looking at, is on the market for $4.9 million, $1 million over.
Yeah.
So what do you think I'm going to offer on that property? Last sale 2 months ago, 3.9, closed, same exact unit.
Yeah.
Same exact view, 1 floor lower.
Are you going to offer 100,000 less?
I'm thinking I'm probably going to offer right at 3.9.
Okay.
Right at 3.9.
Yeah, I think right now is a great opportunity.
I think the 1 floor up maybe is $100,000.
Yeah.
It's not $1 million.
Yeah.
But that seller, like most sellers, is in total fantasy land.
Yeah.
And that seller, by the way, was at 5.2, took it off the market. Here's the rule, ready? If the home's not selling, it means the price isn't compelling. In the high end, what sellers need to understand, and agents need to understand, is if the home isn't selling, it means the price isn't compelling. You've got to make the price compelling if you want the property to sell when there's 14, 15, 18 other options. And when you start talking about 5 million and above, 10 million and above, 20 million and above, you know there's been 2 sales in Del Mar, La Jolla, down in San Diego, north of $10 million in the last 7 years, and one of them just happened a week ago. But there's 15 homes on the market right now above $10 million.
Yeah.
Those things are going to sit for another 30 years.
Yeah. So are you moving to Dallas? Is that the plan?
No, but my son goes to SMU, right? So I want to be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good state.
Absolutely. If you're a real estate broker in Dallas, don't call me. I already got it covered. Yeah.
Especially the taxes are good over there.
Absolutely, yes.
Now let me ask you one last question. Which is going to be a really good one, and you could go deep into that one. Investing, like you invest in real estate.
Yep.
I know you know Grant. He invests in real estate. Yep. I also invest in real estate.
Smart.
There's 2 types of investments: single family game and then the multi-unit game. How do you feel about both? What do you do? Multi-units or single family?
Multi-unit only, but you're also forgetting there's strip centers, there's commercial real estate.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I just had dinner a couple nights ago with a buddy of mine who has probably $20 billion inside of his fund of just all high, like he only buys AAA commercial buildings, right? Like, like what we're in right now.
Yeah.
Right? That's all he buys. So there's lots of different, but if you're talking like housing,
yeah.
SFRs are, I mean, there's a lot of them, it's $2.5 million that are owned by investors. I think they're fantastic, but I don't like the thought of, this tenant says, I can't make my payment, I got to kick him out, I got to start the whole process over, and I have no revenue coming in.
Oh yeah.
Right, so I want multiple units to try and hedge against anything that may happen.
So you're all in for multi-units.
For sure.
Investing in especially people that could buy first time 4 units FHA,
for
right?
Sure,
it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Now I have a billionaire that lives. He lives in a penthouse in my building. He also told me invest in retail and commercial space.
I agree.
He said it's a big opportunity right now for that. So.
Well, I mean, I have one of my closest friends has like 36 shopping centers all over Southern California, Northern California, Salt Lake City. He would argue that they've always been hot. There was a lot of talk, though, if you pay attention to 4 years ago when Amazon was saying, we're going hard. Remember, they were just buying up every warehouse space on the planet?
Yeah.
That was a really hot time if you owned warehouse spaces.
Yeah.
No, not so much, even though Walmart and everybody else kind of got in the same game.
Yeah.
But and a lot of people were nervous about shopping centers. Like, will people ever go to the mall again when I can just go to Amazon and buy everything?
Yeah.
I mean, I go to South Coast Plaza and Fashion Island.
Oh,
There's people everywhere.
I just bought some shoes before coming.
There you go, right? So nice jeans, by the way.
Yeah,
it's good fashion.
Because I know you're a little tall, so I'm like, I'm gonna buy some shoes. Make me a little bit taller.
I'm just on my really.
But I'm really excited about you at Driven.
Me too, man. Me too.
I figured I have a real estate company, and I want to get a treat from my realtors.
Yeah.
I'm like, who better than to have the best coach? And I love collaborating. I think you're gonna be we're gonna do a lot of things together.
Yeah.
And you have a beautiful car, by the way. You have good taste.
Yeah.
You have good taste.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I put them together, and maybe they're probably making love right now together.
All right. Well,
thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
Listen,
you.
I'll look forward to seeing you guys all at Driven. Are there tickets left, or is it totally sold out?
Well, the super VIPs, the good tickets in the front are sold out, but we have a lot of space.
Good.
It's a Long Beach Convention Center, so we have space for 14,000 people.
Wow.
And we're in the thousands, multiple thousands. So I want to get a bunch of realtors to come and learn a lot from you.
Yeah.
And really excited. If you could give like your number one tip to realtors, what would be like your number one because I started in real estate, but I just didn't like carrying the signs and getting sweaty. So I said, somebody said you could be a loan officer and you're inside air conditioner and all that kind of stuff. So I said, you know what? Screw real estate. I'm gonna do mortgages, and I'll just sit down and put the AC and just have all the realtors send me business. So what would be your biggest tip for a realtor that's starting? Because a lot of them start, but they just can't make any sales. And then you're talking about $1 million earners. Like
have a car with air conditioning and hire an assistant. That'd be my first thing. But no. In all seriousness, look, there's never one thing. It'd probably be a combination of things. Number one, you better be thinking big right now because, again, the direction that real estate is going, the industrialization of a transaction, if your degree of separation amongst your peers is how well you manage a transaction, you're in trouble because we're going to push a button and magic's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the negotiation superpower and keeping buyer and seller emotionally intact throughout the transaction, you're always going to need that skill. But the actual working on a file, that's gone. Second thing I would say to you is your income is in direct correlation to the value that you deliver to the market. Your income is in direct correlation to the value that you deliver the market. Now, I'm saying that there's a lot of agents that are not valuable. You with me? They're just not. They're valuable human beings, they're valuable to their community, they're great family members, they're valuable to their church, but they're not valuable to buyers and sellers today. How do you become more valuable to buyers and sellers today? You become the trusted agent. You provide more content, more information, more ins and out, more behind the scenes about buying and selling. You help them learn how to invest in real estate. You teach them new things that they don't know. You become the trusted advisor, the person that anytime anything happens when it comes to housing, you're the person they call. That's who's going to win over the next decade in real estate because of this device. The world has gotten really small, and I could reach millions of people within minutes today and not have to make a phone call.
I love that.
You with me?
I love that. The last one?
Yeah.
Key, because that's what I teach my agents. Like, you got to coach your clients and teach them about investment. Teach them about options. Now, talking about that, where can people follow you? What's your favorite place for people to get all your
Instagram. I mean, you name it, I'm there. I think the only place, I'm not on Tinder. No. So happily married, right? So no, Facebook, Instagram, all those places. Just type in @Tom Ferry and you will find me. I spend a lot of time on Instagram answering a lot of questions for people. That's a good place to go.
And if you want to get his attention, send him a video.
That's exactly right. All right, man. I can't wait for the event, buddy.
Hey,
take care.
Give me one more chance.